develop a partnership with you? And is there a specific way that you want to be approached?
I'll take it. All right, yeah, I do a lot of brand partnerships. And the best way to approach it is to read about who you want to work with. So come in and go ahead and just introduce the brand and tell a little bit of the story about what the brand is about. That way I can see, okay, from just the beginning, are they already understanding what I'm about so that I can understand what they're about, and we can both help each other, really, you have that synergy is what you want. So go ahead and introduce the brand, say this is what it's about, and then also, this may be like a second conversation in, but if you can go ahead and say what you're looking to do, like are you looking for brand awareness? Are you looking to grow your social following? Are you looking to move product? Are you looking for sales? And if you know what you need as a brand, it's much easier for me to help to develop content or to develop a partnership that's going to be mutually beneficial.
That makes perfect sense.
Sure. For me, what's really great is hearing from a brand that I have creative freedom within whatever messaging. I think that's super important because oftentimes I've definitely been approached like, this is exactly what we want and this needs to be approved, like word for word, and every single movement and position in this photo has to be approved, and that's just not enjoyable for me at all. It definitely sucks the life out of things and can come across very disingenuous to your audience as well, on both ends. So really having that flexibility and creative freedom is super important to me, but also having brands approach me already having ideas in mind of how we can work together and what they like about my content and how they see that integration point working is really great, and I really prefer that.
Well, I am definitely not an influencer or content creator, but our events do bring brands together with content creators, and we actually have our homegrown network of influencers. By network, I mean we're getting coffee and hanging out and getting to know people, because ultimately influencers are people. They are more than their metrics, of course. And so one of the things that we think a lot about are, we actually suggest to the brands that we work with who should be in the room. And oftentimes it's 18 to 25 influencers, and we kind of do that matchmaking in addition to event design, production, analytics. But we really do think about are both sides going to benefit, right? So if we're hosting an event featuring a keto brand, we're obviously going to make sure that our invite list is keto. And it sounds obvious, but trust me, I'm sure you both have gotten inbound from brands that did not even take the minute to click your link or even read your bio. So it's pretty straightforward. I think there's just no shortcut. There are tools out there, but do your research and actually click and read and get to know these people.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant advice. And so just really for Haile and for Claire on this one, is there a specific way that you like to be approached? I mean, in the very beginning, do you want somebody to come in as an example and say, let me look at their feed, let me get to know them, let me interact with them a little bit, and then approach them from a partnership, or do you have a specific criteria in that regard?
Just start the conversation. Once again, that sounds obvious, but start the conversation. Like either hit up through DM and say, we love your content, we'd love to toss you some product, are you interested? Is this something we can open up a conversation about? And that really is just where it goes.
Yeah, I think the best thing is like if it doesn't sound like a copy and paste message, like and of course we've gotten a lot of those where it's just like, hey, your content is great. Let's have a discussion or something. Or like DM to collab, like it's just weird. And it comes off very robotic and uncomfortable. So be human throughout the process as well. It's always great when I hear the backstory of some brands as well. Like if you're a mom or a student that started this company, like tell me that and tell me why you're passionate, because then I can connect to that passion as well. Or maybe I don't care at all about what you're doing, and that's totally fine. It's just making sure that that connection point is already established from the beginning is really great. And I also think, just in general, to really seek diversity within your outreach as well. There are a lot of brands that I admire that I only see one type of person or one type of influencer working with them, and it kind of it defines who this brand is for, or what socioeconomic background is supported by that, and so it's really great to also keep that in mind to like target different age groups and different racial demographics and things like that.
Beautiful. So obviously we know a lot of work goes into developing your followers, engaging with your followers. It's a labor-intensive passion and love. How important is your relationship with your followers and selecting partners that understand and appreciate that? Do you want to start with that one, Haile?
Sure. I think it's incredibly important. And in terms of building a community, I think oftentimes, especially when I was getting started, things were kind of slow, to be honest. And I would compare my journey to a lot of other influencers' journeys, or even other pages who don't define themselves as influencers, and wonder why I'm not getting these followers, why I'm not getting this amount of engagement, or whatever it may be. And it's just put the content out there that feels right to you, and you'll attract that audience. It's great to follow these tips and everything, but if it doesn't fit within your ultimate intention and morals, don't step outside of that just to please a general audience. You may have a niche community that appreciates what you put out there authentically, so I feel like that is a huge thing that I have to continuously remind myself of, and also appreciate seeing in other brands and influencers as well.
Nothing else to add?
I have an audience. I built my following back in 2013, so it was before this was cool. This was before brands were putting money into anybody. No one really knew what they were doing. It was just all of a sudden you have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they were listening to you. What do we even do with this? And so watching it go from there to here, I think a lot about, they can see if I don't believe in something, they know, and they can see through when the copy has been rewritten, they know my voice. So when a brand says we're going to rewrite your copy, and you have to fight and say, no, I wouldn't use those words. They catch on to this. Consumers are smart, and they look at influencers as their friends. I've had people say, oh, you're like that cool cousin I didn't have. Okay, that's great. But to think that they look at you really as that friend, that aunt, that uncle, that pal, that they can go and look to and say they're doing cool stuff, they're invested in products, and if she trusted and has done the work on it to make sure it's good or makes sense, then we can trust it as well. So I think it's really just going through the line of knowing they trust me and valuing that.
Mm-hmm.
I always think about social media can be really vapid, and I think how can I provide something of substance?
Absolutely.
In an otherwise pretty void space. So
absolutely. And Cynthia, for you, a different question, obviously. How important is your influencer relationships and really finding a brand partner that understands that?
It's huge. I never intended to build an influencer experiential whatever agency. I do not even come from the agency world, and kind of fell into this because I was creating content and found that doing events to promote my content brought me more joy. So to be clear, I'm approaching this from an outsider's perspective, which is refreshing, I think, for a lot of the people I work with. In terms of the influencers, they are, some of them are friends, but really they're professional contacts, and I value the relationship we have immensely. And not just because, I get them in the door, a brand will be happy and they'll pay me for it. It's not a transaction. These people have families, I know their kids, but maybe they're local, maybe they're not, but I follow them, and I am hey, you're like the cousin I never had, I'm that person. But yeah, they trust me to ensure that I connect them with brands that not only are interested, but actually want to do something with them. So I'll preface this by saying, when we host influencer events, I tell brands, if you do not have an influencer program and you have no interest in following up, don't do this. It's not really going to be an effective use of your money. It's a pretty expensive event for something that you won't build on. So, I bring influencers in. They have an expectation that, great, we're going to have a conversation with the brand. The brand's excited to work with me. Now, it doesn't mean it will 100% happen, but you're really facilitating a conversation that you think will work for both sides. So I take that very seriously.
Yeah, and I love that candor. Now, when we think about it in terms of authenticity and being genuine on social media, and you've all touched on this, that's just an incredibly important thing. When you're working with a brand, and I think that this is maybe just illuminating what you've previously said, but when you're working with a brand, how do you foster that authenticity, but still meet the brand objectives? Who wants to take that one?
I think it's so interesting when forced to be authentic. It's like, can you just be a person? It's like, I feel like that's what's missing is instead of trying to be authentic, just be who you are. And so when working with brands, it's like, who are you as a brand? You don't have to change like how you sound to me. Just what are you? What are your objectives? And then I present myself as I am. And so I think when you're communicating from that equal level of like, this is a person who is passionate and has this product, and this is a person who's passionate and has this community, how can we come together on a real level? I think that's where all the magic happens, and I feel like it's as simple as that. So yeah, I think it's interesting because we talk about authenticity and being genuine. It's like just be, that should be authentic enough. If it's not, then maybe some self-reflection should happen. I don't know. I just feel like at this point it's just do you, and you will attract that audience, you will attract that influencer, and whatever connection genuinely works will genuinely work.
I agree. I talked about this at Expo East in Baltimore last year about how, the word authenticity I think is too buzzy. I'm very tired of it. I also think authenticity has become really contrived because brands know it works, influencers know it sells, and now that influencing is lucrative, and people are like, well, if I'm not doing something that works, I can't make the money I want to make. And brands are like, we won't make the sales we want to make. But the minute you try to force quote-unquote authenticity, I feel like you've lost it. And then you need to really go back to like some self-awareness, some brand identity, what are the words that represent your brand? What is the imagery that represents your brand? What are the colors? Go back to making those boards, those mood boards, those sheets that really help you define this is who we are, and this is what we do, and this is what we don't do. And then like sticking to that versus trying to go with what's trendy, what's going to get the most taps or likes, or what's going to put you on the explore page the quickest, because that's the way to lose it. Because if you're trying to just follow trends, and that's the other thing with influencers, I think more about like who are the true tastemakers, like who's a tastemaker, who's moving culture forward, who is like really doing this in a way that it's like they're doing their thing in a way that resonates with people. Because a lot of the influencers are just riding trends. They're just riding waves. And riding trends is cool, but that's not going to have that same kind of soul-touching moment of somebody being true.
Understand. Anything to add to that, Cynthia?
No?
Okay, wonderful. So let's go ahead now and move into some individual questions. I want to start with you, Kelly. What have been some of your most successful brand partnerships and why?
Oh gosh. Some of my most successful, over the course of last year, I worked with Morton Salt on their Erase Food Waste campaign, and that was so much fun for me because I got to take this huge issue of food waste and add my creative twist to that. So it was not only making recipes out of items that are normally thrown away, but also creating video content around it and like making it fun and exciting and doing it with my own flair. And I think what's great about that campaign that they host in general is that they have so many different influencers spreading that same message in such extremely different ways, and I think that's what's, again, very beautiful about having that creative flexibility. If they were like, just post carrot tops and just post it in pesto, and everybody do that, then it would totally lose its meaning, and they also really love seeing like natural integration. So if I'm traveling, like how do you erase food waste while you're traveling, or before you leave, like how do you make sure that your fridge is prepped? And it's real life moments being integrated into this content message that they're trying to spread. So that is one of my favorites. Recently I worked with Williams Sonoma to share about their open kitchen collection, and that was amazing, a dream come true for me, just because I'm a huge fan of theirs, everything that they sell, but also because I got to, again, be creative with all of this incredible kitchen supplies and share about how fun that was, and working with Kashi as well. I worked on a couple of their kids products, and that was great, being able to actually give feedback and see it reflected in the end product. I think that's another huge thing, is like listen to your influencers or people who you are hoping to get something out of, like genuinely use their opinions and thoughts and experiences to help create whatever outcome you're trying to get at.
Perfect. Cynthia, when looking to create influencer partnerships, what are some of the unique ways brands have worked with influencers?
Yeah, so it's crazy. Things change really quickly in this space, in Like I feel like last year everyone was sending gift boxes to influencers, right? And it's like share the unboxing. And I think even like day by day things are changing. So one of the things that we've done with brands that has worked well, and of course it just depends brand by brand, but is anyone from Health Warrior here? Health Warrior people? Okay. Well, they actually discovered us at Expo East, so maybe they'll be in the room again. We did an event with them in January called Wake Up with Health Warrior, and this was an example of working with influencers, not just to get them in the door, but to actually work with 3 influencers we identified to be part of the event, to actually help in the experience. It was an influencer event, meaning the other guests were influencers, but rather than just have it be like, come in and try Health Warrior products and socialize and make sure you take a photo, right? That's not our approach. It's like, okay, guess what? Like, surprise. Like Davida from the Healthy Maven is leading us through yoga flow. And then Molly, who's a nutritionist, is going to teach you how to make smoothies using Health Warrior products. And we even did a Reiki healing session with an influencer who's like a Reiki master, right? Yeah, they all have followings and great engagement, but once again, like, go back to like, why do they want to be in the room? Like, what's going to make them feel good? And to be in a room with their peers and get to show off the skill that they've been working on for years is a much richer, experience than just having them come in. So I think this transition into influencers being part of the experience versus just being the audience is something that I love doing, and we've seen it drive results as well. People are more likely to post content when they're a big part of it, right? So when you have that involvement, like, you get results on social that are different than if they're just like spectators.
Sure. So Claire, now moving on to determining the brands that you work with. Do you have a specific criterion? And if you do, would you share it with us, please?
Oh God, because I've worked with like every brand under the sun at this point. All the bigger ones, Amazon, Target, Nike, like all the big ones. How do I make sure that their brand message is similar to my brand message? And I look at, again, are they using a diverse, like inclusive type of messaging? That's really important for me. And then you just kind of go from there in ways that also, because I still teach and I run a lot of events and I have workshops as well, if we can mutually support one another, so I'll put you in my gift bags, I'll put you at my events, like can you, as a different kinds of wear brand, you want to outfit me for a class if I'm teaching and partnered up with a major hotel or something. So being able to see, like, can they help me as much as I can help them, and I can give them the most exposure I can give, and like, once again, a really genuine way that's a natural extension of what I'm already doing.
Makes perfect sense. Cynthia, when you are working with brands, how do you determine the goals or objectives of an experiential marketing event?
Right, yeah, I mean, because we are an outside agency, we absolutely have to think about results, right? It's not just someone in-house that's creating an event. We take it really, really seriously. So at the outset, like before we come up with the invite list or pick the venue, like before any of that, in our proposal, we outline the KPIs, like what are the metrics for success? And yes, you can say, okay, social media impressions, the engagement rate on posts from the event. Those to me are pretty short-sighted. Like I said, if your goal is to just get those posts, there are cheaper ways to do it. But the space is getting crowded, right? And these women get reached out to probably like many, many, many times a day, an hour. So what the purpose of the events is to really set your brand apart and to build those relationships in person. The metrics align with that. So meaning, yes, we'll look at posts and we'll calculate the analytics and send you a great deck with all of that in there. But what it really comes down to is, okay, like how likely are you to work with these influencers going forward? We even do an NPS survey at our event, right? So we send a survey out to everyone who attended and we say, how likely are you to recommend XYZ brand after trying it? Had you even tried it before, right? How, rate everything. So we try and add data wherever possible because I know, when people hear events, they just think dollars out the door and no ROI. And our job is to show that, and the companies that get the most out of events are the ones who actually invest in the relationship beyond that 3-hour period. But those 3 hours are powerful. It's like you have a captive audience for 3 hours, 18 people in a room who could really move the needle for your business.
Absolutely. And Claire, because you've worked with so many brands, what have you found to be the most effective in producing results for brands? Meaning sign-ups, new customers, those type of things.
I mean, the brand also has to know what they need, which was the first part of it. And so there's ways to drive, if you just want to drive your social following, giveaways, massive. You create the rules, follow me, follow the brand, like this photo, repost this photo. There are ways to drive people to your social pages if that's the goal. And if the goal is more like sales, like actually people buying the products, it's the long-term game. It's a long-term partnership, and it's about that brand visibility. If I'm constantly posting about something just organically, it's not because you pay me for 3 to 5 story frames. It's because I genuinely use this. I carry it with me. I travel with it. I talk about it. I do an interview and I mention it. I'll say, what are your favorite this or that? I do an event and you're at my event. It's that brand recognition that the audience starts going, I've seen this before and I've seen this so many times I can't help but trust it. And then they're going to start buying. Especially there's a lot of brands that are at major stores, retailers, right? So when somebody's in a Target, how are they going to decide which water to buy? Which oil to buy? Because there's so many. So it's having that long-term brand recognition, really investing in an influencer for the ones that have been the most successful are 3, 4, 6 months or year-long campaigns, where we're on a monthly kind of discussion of what I will provide, what they will provide, and we negotiate kind of compensation based on that. But the long-term game is really going to get the most eyes and get the most brand recognition.
Yeah, I think that makes such perfect sense, right? It's brand awareness and it's the repeat nature of it.
The one-offs even feel disingenuous. People see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Haile, when working with a new brand, how important is the collaboration that you have with that brand in sort of the initial stages?
It's everything. Being able to, again, connect both needs and both areas where the brand might have creative ideas and I might have my personal ideas. So getting on a call or even doing like a Skype or Zoom meeting, being able to see the person, hear them, because sometimes email can get a little bit confusing or seem robotic, and so as you can tell, I don't like robots. Anything robotic, unnatural. So so as long as you can kind of again make that human connection there, but also just be honest and truthful with what you're looking for. And I mean, if it's not a match, it's not a match. But I think, as you mentioned, really pushing the more long-term partnerships feels more authentic for the influencer and for the audience. It makes it feel and it is something that the influencer genuinely uses and cares about and values in their life. So I think those kind of partnerships and being able to discuss that rather than a one-off and kind of feeling like the conversation can be expansive is really great, because it's also very awkward when some brands kind of don't mention compensation, and then you have to be so, and then you're so, it's uncomfortable, and it needs to be an exchange of value and trust, and I think oftentimes that's missing in some brands. They just want to send you free stuff, and you have to make sure that you know what your intention is in the long run, so that things don't get uncomfortable for anyone as well.
Okay, final question, because it went fast, didn't it? The time. Cynthia, why does influencer marketing work?
I mean, why does it work? Well, it's a cool cause and effect. I mean, so I'm going to open up and share something personal. I had never tried CBD until a week ago, and I needed to, I was just I need to try something, I need to chill out. Anyone else? Maybe, yeah. I'm sharing a lot here, guys. I'm being vulnerable and authentic. But what did I buy, right? So, me, I'm a consumer entering this space, which, there's still a stigma, freaking out, what do I get? And I was doses, right? I've seen 4 or 5 influencers in my feed with that cute little white pen, and I was I trust them. I trust them because I trust these people. And I just straight up, within 20 minutes, went to a dispensary and bought a doses pen. And I just went up to the lady, I'm I feel like I know you already. That's crazy. And I caught myself in the moment thinking, oh my gosh, there's no other way I've heard about this brand. It is 100% the Instagram influencer community. So having that realization, I know it works, But I think you have, once again, it comes down to finding the right influencer, right? You don't have to target the person with 300,000 followers. Maybe you can't afford to do that. Maybe that's not the right strategy. Maybe you should go smaller and trade with someone who's willing to take the product, right? Like, there's different budget ranges when it comes to this stuff. But then also have a plan. Like, have a strategy. Think about how you want to work with them. Do you want to feed them into an ambassador program? Do you want to, have them do paid content for you? They're great photographers, for example. Whatever it may be, just know who you're targeting and know what you want to do with them. Because, like I said, these are people at the other end of their phones, and just if everyone treats each other like people, like, this will be a much, I think, happier ecosystem and much more positive in terms of like the conversations that are happening on Instagram.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, that is all the time we have. If you do have questions for us, please meet us in the back of the room. And please join me in thanking these amazing